Hey, everybody. Welcome to Trippy Lippy Presents Dr. Bjond. Welcome, everybody. This is a bit of an experiment to see how things unfold here. We have not done a YouTube live ever. It's
Ever.
all produced videos.
The
Well,
new
I'd like to
thing.
welcome Dr. Bjond. How you doing, Uncle Dr. Bjond?
I am one of the happy people in a world going upside down. And so I hope wherever you are and you look at the chaos, that it doesn't affect you in your heart and your mind. Because the chaos is necessary for the evolution. And if we don't have the evolution, a worse ending you can't imagine. So we are here to celebrate life. And this is what it's all about. How are you, my young Alex? I used to call him Grasshopper that was like a million years ago, a show called Kung Fu. And the young student was referred to as Grasshopper. So here's Alex, Grasshopper.
All right. Well, Uncle Bruce, I'm doing good. I think what we're going to try to do is we would like to try to mute. Let me see. I'm just getting the settings all good. You can hear me loud and clear? Okay, great. Yeah, sorry. Just like I said, first time. It's an experiment. I'm doing well. This is something that we've been wanting to do for quite a while. There's a lot of really cool stories that I've heard, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard that are fans of Uncle Bruce here that are not in the books. They're not in the lectures. And for years, we've been working on videos. And I swear, I mean, I know these things like the back of my hand. I've edited them, watch them hundreds of times to cut together videos. But even still, I get surprised when I hear stories. I'm like, wait a minute, I never heard that one before. So there's the whole premise of this show is to really get into those little spaces in between the talking points. And I'm really excited to be here with you, Uncle Bruce. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us live.
I'm excited. You know, I do have what I think my last final academic book coming out in August on the 18th called Beyond Darwin. And it's a theory of evolution that transcends the competitive, backbiting version of Darwinian theory because it's based on cooperation and community. But there's another book hiding in the back. But it's more of a fun book when all the serious stuff is done. I have a title for years. It's called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Awareness. And it has a whole bunch of interesting life stories. You know, I used to produce laser shows. I found a musician once called Yanni. I lived in the Caribbean with crazy people. It's been a very interesting trip. And a lot of it tripping as well. I have to admit, in my awakening days back 1978, 79, I participated in some hallucinogenic drugs, but it was interesting because by then I was a professor in a medical school, and I did it more like an experiment. And what it did was it blew my mind. It led to a whole new
Blew my
understanding
mind,
of
man.
science. Yeah. And it involved things like magic mushrooms and acid and marijuana. And so I did have a heyday back there. And it was great because if you do these things when you're young, your mind is only so well developed at some point, and you play with that. I did it as a professor in a medical school with a background of massive information. And what it was it was like one of those machines in Las Vegas when you pull the lever and then all the pictures start swirling, and then the pictures line up. And then if you get like all the cherries or something in the line, you get the big reward. Well, taking magic mushrooms, for example, aligned all the cherries of my awareness, my knowledge of science, and led to a vision that was outside of all the data and made a bigger picture of what's going on in life. So there was an awakening, so to speak.
So are you saying also, Uncle Bruce, I mean, I kind of know the answer to this question, and we're going to go deeper into this. I'm excited for later episodes, but that the expanding of your mind and
Yes,
this relationship had an influence in the development of your understanding of biology and consciousness and stuff like that.
100%, because I had all this data, but it didn't register in like a structure until the hallucinogen put it all in one picture. And it was like, oh my God, it's a completely different story than I was presenting in my lectures in the medical school. So it led me off on a track. It led me out of the medical school, led me to Stanford University Medical School. Strange trip. Jerry Garcia, what a long, strange
Right.
trip it's been, my friend.
You're a huge Deadhead. You're a big fan of Grateful Dead. Is that right?
I in my later years, after my awakening, I'm telling you, I got married kind of young, which saved my mind. Why? Because otherwise, I would have been doing all the drugs when I was a kid. I didn't do them until about 10 years after my marriage, and I was in a state of divorce. And in that place of limbo, where am I? What's going on? I said, what did I miss with all those hippies? All my friends were taking these drugs. I was a professor. I had no access to these particular drugs, but I wanted to try. You know what? I tried psilocybin after reading some books about it and how it takes the ego out of the picture and creates a whole change in consciousness. I read all this and I thought, geez, I would love to try those. Nobody, I'm a faculty member. Where am I going to go to the kids? Could you give me some mushrooms? No. What should I do? I bought some spores for mushrooms, and I had a lab where I could create sterile environments. So I made these spores in bottles, sterile bottles with nutrients in them to do a mushroom trip. Let me tell you, it's a lot faster to go buy the mushrooms. It took several months before the spores developed into mushrooms. And the thing about it was, I've been reading about it all, watching them grow and reading about mushrooms. Terrence McKenna had a number of interesting articles and books, and I was reading about all this. This is going to be great. And when I took them, it was a revolution in my whole life. It was beyond anything I could ever imagine. And I highly recommend them. Not for kids, for older people. Because when your consciousness is growing and you have data and massive information about life, then you take something like this, it has a profound change. If you're a kid, you don't have that much information to mess with at that point. So, yeah, I did that. We'll talk about that later. But the whole idea is, how did Dr. Lipton become Dr. Bjond?
Yeah, because I just want to say something too, because that's a really great preface into the whole Dr. Bjond concept, and that is really the way that I've seen you all these years. I mean, you're not really your typical biologist guy. You've always had this trippy aspect to the things that you talk about. It's very engaging. So yeah, tell us about this Dr. Bjond. It's sometimes people don't understand that the J is pronounced with a yay or a ya sound, or Dr. Bjond. So give us some insight background.
Okay.
Dr. Bjond.
1978. I'm in the divorce state. I'm hanging around with some people, younger people, and some magic mushrooms and stuff like that, drugs. And one of my favorite music stations in Madison, Wisconsin at the university was called MAD, WMAG, MAD Radio, rock station. And I knew there was a new DJ that was going to join the community at that station. And what was interesting is I met this new DJ before he actually put a show on, because some people knew he was coming to town from where? The Florida Keys. Here's a guy who lives in 80-degree weather, Florida Keys, and he comes to Wisconsin in the middle of January, which is like Siberia. How does a guy who lives in sandals and t-shirts for his whole life manage when he lands in Madison, Wisconsin? Not very well. But he met some friends, and they introduced him to me. And he came, and I was at a party, and we met each other at this party, and there were some drugs apparently, and we hung out and we talked all night. We talked right up to breakfast in the morning, stories of our past and all that. Well, my friend Bob Keller joins the WMAD staff and has a lunchtime show. And his show is called Cafe Rock. And what he does is he creates a sound environment of being in a cafe. Dishes clanking and people talking, and like a background. So it's radio, it's in your mind. And he had many characters that he talked about at this cafe. The chef was Chef Tomaine, and the waitress was Betty Veracruz, and these were just made up things. So he'd play rock music, and then between songs, it would be like live at Cafe Rock, and he would make up and make these, talk to these people that he created. And I was listening to the show, and all of a sudden he says, "Oh, here comes one of our best customers, Dr. Bjond." I go, oh.
So that was a name that was, you were knighted with that name, essentially.
I was knighted with that name. And what Dr. Bjond he was doing research in the bowels of the medical school. And parts of Dr. Bjond were part of the story that we were talking about. So all of a sudden, I became a character in the Cafe Rock. So I love that character. And Dr. Bjond. And I thought, oh, well, why did I call myself that? And it was like Bjond, Beyond. Bjond. I thought, that's chintzy. That's not classy. I thought, the word fjord, Fjord. FJ is not fij. It's the J is a Y. Fjord. So I thought, classic, Dr. Bjond, Bjond. And that's where that character came in. But it's also very useful because once the internet stuff started going, if someone wrote to me as Dr. Bjond, but they called me Dr. Bjond, 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 I knew they didn't know me. So right away, that was good. Oh, Dr. Bjond, he's not here. Nope. Dr. Bjond, he's here. So I became a character on a radio show, and then took it into my life and became that. And happily have taken that Dr. Bjond and turned it into The Biology of Belief and some other very important books on evolution, and the new one that will be coming out in August. But what's the point? The point is, Bruce is a PhD research scientist who occasionally dabbles in the dark arts of hallucinogens. But it was hallucinogens that woke me up. It was the most amazing experience. I waited months to get those mushrooms. And then it was the big day. I'm going to take those mushrooms. And I'm on my couch alone in my house. I take the mushrooms. I'm holding my head up like I was resting my arms and holding my head up. And a vision came. And the vision was I was like in a tunnel with lights along the side. Imagine this. If you walk into an airplane, the fuselage, where it's dark in the airplane but light outside, then you can see where the windows are. Some light would be coming in. So,
were your eyes open, or was this like an open or closed? You had your eyes closed, and you were kind of experiencing.
My eyes were closed. I was somewhere else. I wasn't in body, and
right.
I was saying, where is that light? And somehow or other, I end up over at the light. Forgot to tell you, I was floating along in the same pose I was in on the couch, and all around me were identical me's floating in this darkness. I was a red blood cell floating in the capillary. And the capillary, biologically, is called a fenestrated capillary, which means window. And it's a capillary in the liver where detoxification is occurring. So I'm flying by this capillary, looking out the window at liver cells. And it's sort of like flying in an airplane above. And as I started to focus more and more, it's like starting to see people from an airplane level. There are people down there. They were wearing, cloak figures. And I was watching them. I'm going, what is this? And then it hit me. I said, oh my God, I'm in the liver. Those are my liver cells. I'm watching my liver cells. And they're having a party, Friday night party, big party. And I look at them and I'm thinking, you guys inside my body are partying. And my life out here in the world has been getting hit in the head all the time. And I got mad at them. I thought, how can you guys be enjoying this? And I'm going through all the crap out here in real life. I said, what do you do for me? And that's all of a sudden when my word just changed. What do they do? They put their hands up, like up to the sky where I was above them. And I said, what do you do for me? And then when they did that, all of a sudden, every sense receptor in my body turned on at once. I couldn't breathe. It was like so intense feeling. I fell off of the couch on the floor. And I was like, whoa, I couldn't breathe at first. It was so intense. And I get back up on the couch and I get back, put my hands over my head where they were before. And I'm back at the window. And I see those cells down there. And I said, thank you very much. Because what they showed me was one of the most important things. And that is this. We are spirits in a body. But the cells of the body break down the environment into sensation, sight, smell, sound, taste, feelings, love, pain, sensation. The sensation comes from the body. The body is like a virtual reality suit. I'm going into my body. You're going into your body. It's a suit. We're the driver, the consciousness. And the suit can do two things. It can move around and create things. And the suit can have feelings. And the feelings are, before having a suit, if I said, describe love, you could give me a big essay. But guess what?
Before you said, well, it reminds me of a story when you said about essays too, because there was another time when I was going to school and you told me I had to write a paper on pseudoscience. And this is like a lot of the stuff you're talking about, how consciousness is interacting with the body. And I asked you, I was like, what will be a good paper to write? It's a pseudoscience. And of course you suggested, why don't you write a paper about the central dogma of DNA being a pseudoscience? And I thought that was
of course,
hilarious.
the main science, and we were calling it a pseudoscience, the main science, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. So I ended up, my teacher didn't want to grade my paper because she said I was just purely wrong. But
I love that when they're so right.
Yeah. It was just like, well, why don't you write something about astrology or tarot cards? Like, don't write about the DNA being central dogma. So that's not pseudoscience. It was amazing, but that's like, really cool. And when you were talking about virtual reality before, when you're having this realization, because this was all around the time that you were working with computers and understanding the homology between computers and biology. Was there ever like a virtual reality?
It led me, the experience led me to that research because I started to try to figure out, how did my consciousness get affected? It affected my body. the connection between the mechanics of an energy consciousness and connection to the physical body. And that's what led me to it. But it was beautiful because I got back to that window and saw them, and I thanked them. I said, "Thank you so very much. I appreciate what you do. Why? Hey, uh, this is what cake tastes like. Okay, this is what a sunset looks like. This is what feeling in love feels like, and all of that is not in our spirit energy realm. All of that is a manifestation of the mechanism of the body." And the conclusion, which blew my mind when I followed it out, was this: people think you die, and if you have a good life, you can go to heaven. I say, well, what is heaven? Well, every person has their own definition. That's creative. Hey, Alex, what's your definition of heaven? And then that's your vision. And everybody has their vision. Okay? And so heaven is a place of creation where you make a vision. And that's where, whether I'm in a soft cloud or I'm flying in space, whatever, that's your vision. And I started to realize something. I said, oh my God, that the idea that you die and go to heaven, I said, no, no. I said, we were born into heaven. I go, why? Because the body as a virtual reality suit gives us the ability to create and to experience, to manifest a life. And all of a sudden, I started to realize, oh my God, no, we were born into heaven. When we die, we leave this heaven. And yet, when you look around, the heaven that we were born into looks a little upside down. War, violence, everything that's going wrong, upheaval. I go, that's heaven? I say, no, we are creators, that we have the choice of creating something beautiful and lovely, heaven on earth, or we can create horror. And civilization is creating a horror. Why? Because we're not using our creative mind. We're using the program subconscious mind to manifest our life. And that program came from other people. We're not creating what we want. We are creating what we have been programmed to create. The wake-up call that the mushrooms gave me was, wait a second, I am the creator. And most of you out there, of course, all of us live 95% of the day from our subconscious creations. But when you fell in love, and I bring it up very simply because the movie The Matrix, perceived to be science fiction, I call it a documentary. Why? What's the premise of The Matrix? Everybody's programmed. I go, yes, but that's true. All of us are programmed for the first 7 years of our life from outside people. The programs didn't come from us, they came from others. And then 95% of our life is coming from those programs until you take the red pill talked about in that movie. And in the movie The Matrix, the red pill gets you out of the program. Well, most all of you have experienced, my friends, the red pill was falling in love. Because the moment you fell in love, you started creating your life from your consciousness, not from your program. And what did you create from your conscious mind? Heaven on earth. I go, wait a minute. Heaven on earth is always here, except we are playing our lives not from the conscious mind, we're playing it from the program mind. And when you get this understanding and takes the power back, then you can create from the wishes and desires of the conscious mind, the heaven on earth that you wish for. But until then, you're playing programs. And that's where the limitations come from. And that's whole thing started with understanding that the body is actually a virtual reality suit, gives us the ability to move and create, and gives us the ability to have sensation. And if you understand it right, then why not have the best sensations? Why not live in the harmony and health and happiness? It's a choice. But we didn't know that back then. We always thought genes did all that. But no, conscious mind. Those mushrooms, big wake up call for this guy for sure.
Well, for this guy as well, Uncle Bruce,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And that's because that red pill, of course, that's a really interesting take that you have about the red pill. That's not the first thing that people think of, I think, when they hear the red pill as analogous to falling in love. It's like usually that's like a horrific wake up call to like the nature of reality and what the deceptions and all that. But
Yeah,
it's really
but the
cool that
wake
you
up
can
call,
take it and spin it, to a more positive way.
but as you said, it's still the wake up call with a choice. You can wake up and play the game even better that they programmed, or you can wake up and change the rules, change the
Right.
game.
Yeah, and also, just we're gonna get involved with a lot more discussions about this stuff going forward.
Oh yeah, there's some
Future
stories.
episodes.
We have stories that you can't tell in public, but
Well, there's
tell
still, you
them
know
on
what? I
here.
think it's okay. It's 2026, the 21st century. It's pretty common to talk about these things. It's a different world, Uncle Bruce. Marijuana wasn't legal back, all those days ago.
God bless California.
And pretty much most of the country at this point.
Oh yeah, but
which
we all know it was, if you were old like me in the 60s and the music that came out of the world. Oh, I mean, the music was boom. And the big songs were about going to California, seeing the girls with the ribbons in their hair and the flowers in their hair. And
potentially also controlled by the CIA, but either way, the music was really good.
California dreaming. I moved here and found, there's a lot more freedom for me here to create what I like. And man, I have to tell you, I love my life. I love it. Why? I got rid of those programs that undermined my life and made life miserable. They're not there anymore. What does that mean? I'm creating heaven on earth every day. What does that mean? I'm living the honeymoon, friends. And if you all understand it, in spite of all the upheaval of the evolution that we're facing, in the midst of it, you could be living in heaven.
Right. And I want to also mention, too, it's worth mentioning because what you're describing is really indicative of love and light. It's all about love and light. People sign their emails, love and light this, love and light that. And of course, we want to recognize that. I mean, everything is connected. Arguably, they're the same thing and just different interpretations of it. But there's also such a thing called a shadow, and we need to recognize that. It's there is the shadow of things we need to learn, things that are below our level of awareness. Even when we wake up to this truth and we understand that there's a hidden, programming that's controlling our lives and we can change things, there's always still mystery in uncovering what's going on in there. That's just the nature of how the mind works. And if I could just share a metaphor with you that I think is really interesting, that I've actually kind of picked up working with you all these years, is that when you understand the biology of belief, essentially it's understanding that you have a circuit breaker in your house. Because metaphorically speaking, let's say you're going into your kitchen and you're always trying to turn the lights on, but no matter how much you're trying to flip the switch in the kitchen, these lights won't come on. These lights won't come on. But then you find out that it's not a problem with the switch. You have to go to the circuit breaker. That's like understanding that you have this subconscious and that you have these programs. And when you go and flip the switch, suddenly it controls the power to that kitchen. Now you can actually turn the lights on and see what's going on. So changing beliefs in a lot of ways is like flipping the switch in the circuit breaker, which then illuminates new halls and new areas of your house, puts the power back in. Like you always say, it gives you power back when you start to be creative. But the thing is that when you turn the lights on, sometimes a breaker doesn't control just one switch. Often it controls a lot of things. So just because you haven't seen this room illuminated in a long time, wow, I changed the belief of my kitchen. I can see and work in my kitchen. But then you go around the corner and you see, oh, there's a whole hallway over here that I had no idea was even here, because I couldn't make it 3 feet into the kitchen.
Yeah.
So there's always this learning and developing and everything as you go. So for everyone out there that's not in the honeymoon effect, not living in it's not happy all the time, just want to, you know, honor that, because it's like, it's a process. It's as long as you put in the effort and wake up to it and just recognize to get out of the
It's
program,
more,
right?
it's an exercise as well as a process, meaning the more you use it, the more you develop it and the more you experience it. And that's what the whole idea is. It's like, oh, you don't just hit one switch and now, oh, I'm so enlightened. Oh, no. It's a practice.
Right.
And there's one piece of information that came to me afterwards that put a lot in perspective. It's called the Serenity Prayer. And here's how it goes. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. I
Very
think this
important.
applies to everything in our life. To recognize the things you can't change. I can't go out in the street and say, dear Mr. Trump, stop bombing Iran. I can do it, but nobody will listen anyway, so I can't change it. But I can change how I respond to it. I can, say, my world, I'm living in my world, and I'm not bringing that into my world. And all of a sudden it says, and when I wake up, am I concerned immediately about the war? No. Nobody asked me my opinion. Nobody pays attention to me. So why would I invest my emotion, my consciousness, my energy into that and live the fear that people wake up every day, the war.
Well, that's the thing, right, Uncle Bruce? Because there's a reflection. There's the inner domain that's happening beneath our skin, like in our consciousness and our memories and stuff. But then there's the outer domain on the other side of the membrane, the external world. We tend to think of them as two different things, but there's so much interesting information, obviously, that even through your work, how your psychology and depending on your thinking is there's an interaction between what's going on. So that war out there is almost like a big cultural reflection of an inner war within the human person, so we just tend to project what's going on out into the world and think it's happening out there. Oh, but you can't necessarily change it. Like you said, you can actually, like, where's this happening within me? Where's this conflict? Why am I angry? What's the reaction? What's the question? Is this making me angry? Is this making me short with people? Is it making me feel despair? Well, those are things that you can actually influence. Is that right?
Those are the things that are most directly influential to your experience. Those things, those feelings, those attitudes, and all that. Taking control of that is taking control of your life. We have so many different things to talk about in regards to that. And I've had so many learning opportunities, which are called experiences, many of which are, help me. I look forward to sharing some of these wake-up moments as we do this. I hope people are listening because, hey, I write the book, I wrote the science, I do all that, but I'm still Bruce. I'm the guy underneath. I live
you're still
in
a guy. You're a human being who goes through
human
being things.
Yeah. And I live through all the things you are living through and deal with all the things you are dealing with. But with advice from the science, I'm enjoying the process, and I want you to enjoy the process. I want you have the same opportunities I do to create a life experience of heaven on earth, a honeymoon forever. I hope you can see that. What do you think?
Yeah. I like, yeah, of course. And the community is a huge part of it, Uncle Bruce, and learning that you don't have to do this all by yourself and trust the process. It's a really important message to remember. And, just, it's important to have that humility, have that understanding that sometimes there's things you don't necessarily have the answer to right away. And that's okay. But as long as you're making efforts to actually change the thing or improve the situation, you're going to help degrade. I like that. I've had this debate, this understanding, well, there's ethics, morality, but there's ecology. They all kind of get used interchangeably. I like the ecological one because it's science-based. It's like, are you degrading the system or are you improving the system? It all comes down to whether you're taking away from it and destroying it, or you're actually trying to improve it. And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's like when you have a choice, you can choose that.
It's like when you wake up in the morning, the first thing is, oh my God, I'm still here. I have another day of this planet Earth. Or you wake up in the morning and go, oh no, I have to face this, I have to face that. If that's the first thought of the day, the rest of it is flavored from that point on. I wake up with the joy of being alive. And I hope you understand that and can experience it, because that will give you the understanding of what is heaven, a place of creation. And that's what we're doing.
That's good. Well, perhaps we'll call it a day here for this first it's not a webinar, but speaking of webinars, I really want to mention to everyone here that's listening, looks like we have about 100 people on here. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're not a member of BruceLipton.com, it's only $7. If you would like $7, you get to come on to a monthly webinar, similar format as this, except you get to come on and ask Uncle Bruce your questions live on the air and pretty much give you as much time as you want. So it's a really cool opportunity, especially if you've seen my uncle do, or I like to share him, Uncle Bruce. I've a lot of people call him Uncle Bruce now, which is fun. That's Uncle Dr. Bruce Lipton. But if you've ever seen him talk in a stage and performance, it's really like it's not a lecture as much as a performance, I always think. So it's sometimes you want to get a chance to talk to him. It's hard because there's a lot of people there, but for $7, not a bad deal. You just go to BruceLipton.com, become a member, and you can come on our monthly webinar, and you can ask him all the questions you want live on the air. And we got tons of resources on the website too, videos, articles, audio recordings, special discount access to books, and the new book coming out, Beyond Darwin. Really excited to see how that all comes through. And I just want to thank you, Uncle Bruce, for taking the time, and for all of our listeners. This is the first, and I'm sure of many, and we're going to be trying to do this at least twice a month. But as things come up, we're going to be jumping onto this audience. So share, like, and subscribe, hit the notification bell. That's all really important stuff. Helps with the algorithm. Thanks so much for commenting. And we're going to get into more of the background, more of the detailed stories. But you know what, Uncle Bruce, I think that's going to be really good. Next episode, we go into some of these moments in your life that really, like, were that moment after Neo took the red pill and you saw that, oh, something, this, shit, what the hell is this? And that wake up moment that gets you to, motivates you. Because it's like, sometimes crisis is an opportunity. And I think that all the years I've hung out with you, there have been a lot of moments where you shared with me things like that. So I'm excited to go with you on that, Uncle Bruce, and thank you.
Well, I'm so happy that we have people out there, and I hope at some level I can encourage you to see that you are a very powerful entity. Every one of you is a creator, and if we understand the nature of how the creation is made and what interferes with that creation, we have something good going for all of us. So I'm so glad you're all here. Thank you so very much for all that. It makes me feel so great to know that people are out there interested in taking back power over their lives. Thank you so very much.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Got to get used to saying that more often, but it really does help. Drop some comments, share the video with your friends, and also check out our YouTube channel. We got so many videos. If you haven't checked them out, there's a lot of fun stuff that maybe we'll do some screenings together next time, Uncle Bruce, as well. We could talk about some behind the scenes of when we shot some of these videos as well, because we've had a lot of fun throughout this experience. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone. And we will be back very soon, within like the next week or week and a half or something like that. So stay tuned, everyone. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.